The sterile glow of fluorescent lights buzzed above as Dr. Curt Connors sat hunched over his desk, staring at the syringe trembling in his grip. His Oscorp laboratory, normally bustling with researchers and assistants, was empty. Everyone had left for the night, but he remained. This was it. The culmination of years of research, of failures, of half-successes that never quite delivered what he needed. The lizard's serum, perfected, or at least he hoped it was. His left sleeve was rolled up, revealing the stump where his arm should have been. His entire life had been spent chasing the dream of restoration, a world where science could undo tragedy, where no man had to feel incomplete, and now he had the chance to change everything. Yet, the voice of caution, of reason, whispered in his mind. Norman Osborn was dying. He had already sent men breathing down Connors' neck, demanding results. Not next year, not next week, now. And if Connors failed to deliver, Oscorp would shut the entire project down. He exhaled slowly. Then, with a final glance at the formula, he injected the serum into his arm. At first, nothing. Then, a slow burn beneath his skin, spreading like wildfire. His vision blurred, his breath hitched, the room spun, and then pain, searing, crushing, breaking. His bones shifted, his muscles tensed, his entire body reconstructed itself from the inside out. He stumbled back, knocking over a stack of glass beakers, his hand clawing at his desk for stability. Then, his fingers twitched. His left hand, it had regrown, perfect, flawless, strong. It worked. A weak, breathless laugh escaped his lips. Oh my God, it worked. Then, his eyes flickered reptilian green, and everything went dark. Across the city, Spider-Man soared between the skyscrapers, twisting through the humid night air, the neon lights reflecting off his suit. Being Spider-Man should have felt exhilarating. But right now, Peter Parker was hunted. Captain Stacy's task force was in full pursuit. The NYPD had doubled their efforts to bring him in after yet another encounter in the streets. His heart pounded as he barely dodged the blinding searchlights sweeping the rooftops. Come on, give me a break, he muttered under his breath, flipping onto a fire escape and pressing himself against the wall as the police helicopters hovered past. From his vantage point, he could see them, squads of officers patrolling below, radios crackling with orders. No sign of the masked suspect. Keep eyes on the west sector. Peter exhaled sharply, gripping the edge of the fire escape. It was getting worse. Ever since he started going after criminals with connections to Oscorp, the police had been relentless. And Captain Stacy, he was obsessed. Peter didn't blame him. Not entirely. He was just a father trying to protect his daughter from a masked vigilante he saw as reckless and dangerous. And maybe, just maybe, he wasn't entirely wrong. But right now, he didn't have time to think about that, because something moved in the shadows. A low, inhuman growl. Peter froze. Then, a dark shape lunged from the alley below. Peter barely dodged in time. Something massive smashed into the fire escape, bending the metal like paper. Peter landed hard on the rooftop, rolling to his feet, breathing heavily. His eyes darted around, scanning the darkness. Then, he saw it. A towering, reptilian figure crouched in the alley below, its long, clawed hands gripping the brick walls. The green scales rippled beneath the moonlight, and when the creature lifted its head, its yellow eyes locked onto Peter's. It was the lizard, but something was different. Peter had seen monsters before. He had fought them. They moved without hesitation, without restraint. But this creature wasn't attacking. It was studying him. And then, it spoke. A low, guttural voice layered with something human beneath the growl. Peter's breath hitched. His mind raced. You know who I am." The lizard stumbled back, gripping its own head, its claws digging into its skull. No, this isn't... I'm not supposed to be... Then, as if fighting something within himself, the lizard turned and bolted into the darkness. Peter hesitated. Then, he gave chase. When Connors regained consciousness, he was lying in his apartment. His body ached. His clothes were torn. The remnants of scales still lingered on his skin, fading away as his body restructured itself back to human form. For a moment, he panicked. Did he hurt someone? Did he lose control? Then, he looked at his arm. It was still there, the hand he had lost years ago. A mix of relief and terror washed over him. He remembered seeing Parker. He remembered almost attacking him. But he didn't. He had stopped himself. That meant maybe the monster wasn't fully in control. Maybe he could control it. Before he could process any further, his phone buzzed. An unknown number. He answered. A voice, calm and calculating, spoke on the other end. "Dr. Connors, this is Norman Osborn." Connors' blood ran cold. "We need to have a conversation." Meanwhile, at the NYPD precinct, Captain George Stacy sat in his dimly lit office, sifting through photos, reports, and surveillance footage. All of them were the same. Spider-Man. Blurred images from security cameras. Sightings from citizens. Patterns in his movements. And now, something new. He pressed play on a grainy video feed, traffic cam footage from earlier that night. Spider-Man perched on a rooftop, and in the shadows, something watching him. A huge figure, reptilian. Stacy narrowed his eyes as something wasn't right. If this thing was a monster, why didn't Spider-Man stop it? Or worse, were they working together? A thought crept into his mind. What if Spider-Man wasn't the hero everyone thought he was? Stacy's jaw clenched. We need to bring him in, before it's too late. The sun rose over New York. The pieces were falling into place. Peter had seen the lizard, but it hadn't tried to kill him. Connors realized he might be able to control his transformation. Norman Osborn was watching everything. Captain Stacy was closing in, and as Peter stood on the rooftop staring at the horizon, one thought burned in his mind. What the hell is happening? Dr. Curt Connors gripped the edge of his bathroom sink, staring into the cracked mirror. The morning light cut through his apartment window, but it didn't warm him. It only reminded him how much had changed. His left hand trembled as he slowly flexed his fingers. It still felt surreal. For years, he had dreamed of having two hands again, of being whole. Now, he had it. But at what cost? His reflection shifted. For just a moment, his skin turned to green. His eyes slitted and reptilian. A hallucination, or a warning. He clenched his fists. I won't lose myself. I won't become a monster. Then, his phone buzzed. The name on the screen made his stomach drop. Oscorp. He hesitated. Then he answered. Norman Osborn's voice, smooth and controlled, came through the speaker. "Dr. Connors, you and I need to talk. Immediately." Across the city, Peter Parker sat on the ledge of a skyscraper, mask pulled halfway up, a half-eaten sandwich in his hands. Below him, the streets bustled with life. Cars honked, people shouted, the hum of New York never resting. But up here, it was quiet. Too quiet. Because Peter's mind wouldn't shut up. He couldn't stop thinking about Connors, about the way the lizard hesitated before running away. Something wasn't adding up. He knew what monsters looked like. The way they moved, the way they attacked. He had fought Rhino, Vulture, Shocker. None of them hesitated. But Connors? Peter saw fear in his eyes. What if Connors wasn't the enemy? And worse, what if Peter had just pushed the only person who could help him into Oscorp's hands? Inside Oscorp Tower, Connors sat across from a hologram of Norman Osborn, who was still too sick to meet in person. His son, Harry Osborn, stood in the background silent, watching. Norman's voice was calm but firm. "I know what you did, Dr. Connors. I know you injected yourself with the serum." Connors stiffened. "You were monitoring me?" Norman smiled. "I monitor everything." The air in the room felt heavier. "Now tell me," Norman continued, leaning forward in his chair, his shadow stretching across the desk. "You said you wanted to regrow your arm, that this was about healing, not destruction." Connors nodded slowly. "Then explain to me why you were spotted running through the city, looking very inhuman." Silence. Connors swallowed hard. "I lost control, but only for a moment. I can..." "Of course you can," Norman interrupted, "which is why I need you to take the next step." Connors narrowed his eyes. "What next step?" Norman leaned back, his expression unreadable. "You're going to refine the formula, remove the side effects, perfect it, and then we're going to use it on me." The words hit Connors like a train. "That's not what this is for." Norman's smile vanished. "It's exactly what it's for." Connors' jaw clenched. For years, he had worked under Oscorp, convinced he was helping people, that this research was for the greater good. But now he saw the truth. Norman didn't care about healing people. He only cared about power. "I won't help you," Norman sighed, rubbing his temples. "I thought you might say that, which is why I've made a few arrangements." On a screen behind him, security footage played. Connors' heart stopped. It was his son, Billy, walking home from school. Oscorp agents were already watching him. "Do what I ask, Dr. Connors," Norman said coldly, "or your son will be the next one needing a cure." That night, Connors made his choice. If Norman wanted a monster, he'd give him one. Connors Asterisk injected himself again, this time without hesitation. His body shuddered, twisted, grew stronger. But this time, he kept his mind. He would never let Osborn turn him into a pawn. Now, there was only one person he could trust. Peter perched on a rooftop, scanning the Oscorp building with his camera lens. Something was going on inside. Connors, Osborn, something big. Then, a shadow landed behind him. Peter's spider sense blared. He spun around, fists raised, and found himself face to face with the lizard. But this time, the monster didn't attack. Instead, Connors spoke. "We need to talk, Parker." For a long moment, Peter didn't move. Then, slowly, he lowered his fists. "I'm listening." Meanwhile, at NYPD headquarters, Captain George Stacy had finally put the pieces together. The monster in the footage, Spider-Man's connection to Oscorp, the disappearance of Dr. Curt Connors, and now, Spider-Man had just been spotted near Oscorp. His eyes darkened. This wasn't just about Spider-Man anymore. This was about protecting his city. Captain Stacy grabbed his radio. "We've got him." And for the first time in his career, he was going to bring Spider-Man in. As Peter and Connors prepared to take down Oscorp, neither of them realized. The police were already moving. SWAT teams, snipers positioned on rooftops, helicopters hovering above the skyline. Captain Stacy wasn't coming to arrest just one man. He was coming for both of them, and as Peter and Connors swung toward Oscorp Tower, the sirens began to wail. The final showdown was about to begin. The night sky burned with red and blue lights as helicopters hovered over the Oscorp Tower, their spotlights scanning the rooftop. Below, the streets were flooded with NYPD SWAT teams, officers taking defensive positions, rifles locked and loaded. Inside a command truck, Captain George Stacy tightened his grip on his radio. eyes locked on the building. His voice was cold, determined. "No one gets out. Spider-Man is in there. We take him in tonight." A sergeant turned to him. And the thing? They all knew what he meant. The lizard. Captain Stacy's jaw tightened. "If it attacks, we put it down." A deep breath. Then, over the radio, "We have movement on the north side. Spider-Man is in position." The captain grabbed his gun. "Move in." The hunt had begun. Deep within the Oscorp research facility, Dr. Curt Connors and Peter Parker moved swiftly through the dimly lit corridors. Peter's suit clung to him like a second skin. His every muscle tensed as he scanned the halls for threats. Beside him, Connors, half man, half lizard, moved with surprising control. His reptilian eyes flicked back and forth, his clawed hands clenched into fists. They both knew what was at stake. Norman Osborn's research labs contained the key to everything. The formulas, the experiments, and most importantly, the cure for Connors' mutation. "We get to the main lab," Connors muttered. "I can end this. We destroy the research, keep Osborn from using it on anyone else." Peter nodded, but his gut told him it wasn't going to be that easy. Then, an intercom crackled to life. A voice, smooth, confident, Norman Osborn. "Oh, gentlemen, you really thought it would be that simple?" Suddenly, the facility locked down. Steel doors slammed shut. Red warning lights flashed. And from the shadows, armed Oscorp security swarmed in. Peter's spider sense flared just as the first shots rang out. Peter moved first. He launched into the air, flipping over a group of guards and firing webs that yanked their rifles away. He landed hard, spinning low and sweeping the legs out from under them. Connors wasn't as merciful. With one swing of his massive tail, he sent guards crashing into the walls. His claws tore through body armor, ripping weapons from their hands. But he didn't kill, not this time. Even as the lizard, Connors was still fighting for control. But then, something changed. The guards stopped attacking, and behind them, a door slid open. Harry Osborn stepped out. Peter's breath hitched. Harry! But something was wrong. His best friend, his face pale, eyes sunken, body twitching, staggered forward, clutching his chest. His veins were black, pulsing unnaturally. And then Peter saw it. The injection marks on Harry's neck. Osborn had used him. Harry let out a choked gasp. His body trembled, and then he screamed. The transformation was violent. Harry's body contorted, twisted unnaturally, bones snapping and realigning. His once bright blue eyes turned sickly yellow. His skin cracked, his fingers sharpened into talons. And then he looked at Peter, not with recognition, with hatred. His voice was distorted, deeper, unrecognizable. "You let him do this to me." And then he lunged. Peter barely dodged as Harry moved with unnatural speed, his claws slicing through the air. He twisted, flipping backward, webbing the ceiling and pulling himself up. But Harry was already there. He ripped Peter from the ceiling, hurling him through a reinforced window. Glass shattered as Peter crashed into an adjacent lab, rolling to his feet just in time to dodge another feral strike. "Harry, listen to me," Peter gasped, ducking under a wild swing. "We can fix this," Harry snarled. "You can't fix dead, Peter!" Peter's stomach dropped. Harry knew. He knew the truth about his father. And now, he was going to kill Peter for it. Connors burst into the lab, skidding to a stop at the sight of Harry. His eyes widened in horror. "No. What did he do to you?" Harry turned his head slowly, his monstrous lips curling into a grin. "Hey, Doc, guess we're both freaks now." He moved fast, too fast. Before Connors could react, Harry slammed into him, pinning him against the steel wall. The lizard roared in pain, claws digging into Harry's shoulders, but the new goblin was relentless. He sank his talons into Connors' side, twisting. Connors howled in agony. Peter's rage boiled over. He fired a web at Harry's face, yanking him off Connors, slamming him into a control panel. Sparks exploded, and for a moment, just a moment, Harry was stunned. Peter helped Connors up, supporting his weight. "Can you still fight?" Peter asked, breathless. Connors gritted his teeth, his reptilian eyes sharp with focus. "I'm not done yet." The two monsters, lizard and goblin, charged at each other, and Spider-Man followed. The battle tore through the lab, walls collapsing, fire spreading. Harry was fast, unpredictable, feral. He used every dirty trick, throwing equipment, slamming Peter into walls, clawing at Connors' scales. But he was unstable. The serum was killing him. His movements grew sluggish, his attacks weaker. And then, the final blow. Connors grabbed Harry by the throat, lifting him off the ground. His grip was tight, crushing. Peter saw it, the same look Connors had when he almost lost himself. And Peter made his choice. "Connors, stop!" The lizard's muscles tensed. Then, he let go. Harry dropped to his knees, gasping. His body convulsed. The serum was burning him from the inside out. Peter knelt beside him, gripping his friend's shoulders. "Harry, stay with me." Harry's eyes flickered back to human. His voice was weak. "I just wanted to make him proud." And then, he was gone. The lab burned. Peter and Connors stood over Harry's lifeless body. Sirens wailed in the distance. Connors, clutching his wounds, looked at Peter. "We did the right thing, didn't we?" Peter swallowed hard. "I don't know." Then, the doors burst open. Captain Stacy and his men stormed in, weapons raised. "Put your hands in the air." Connors looked at Peter. Then, he ran. Peter didn't stop him. As the lizard disappeared into the night, Peter slowly raised his hands. Captain Stacy's eyes locked onto his mask, and for the first time, Peter knew this fight wasn't over.